The Louvre in Paris, which is home to masterpieces such as the Mona Lisa, has been hit by one of the boldest art robberies in recent memory. But beyond the theft itself lies a deeper story, one that echoes far beyond Europe and raises global questions about protection, ownership and return of cultural treasures, particularly to nations of the global south. And that includes the Kohinoor diamond, which the British took from India. Shiva Mishra reports.
In the early morning hours of 20th December 2007, three masked intruders entered a museum in Brazil's largest city of Sao Paulo. Using a hydraulic jack to force the main door and a crowbar to smash a glass panel, they struck in under 3 minutes, executing what the police described as a professional job. The museum security system did not include alarms or motion sensors. It relied only on human patrols and cameras. Their target, Pablo Picasso's portrait of Suzanne Bloch, estimated at $50 million, and Brazilian master Candido Portinari's The Coffee Worker, valued at $5 million. Neither work was insured. 3 weeks later, on 8th January 2008, police recovered both the paintings, fortunately, in an undamaged condition. 2 suspects were arrested. For the museum and for many cultural institutions in the global south, the message was blunt. World-class artifacts do not guarantee world-class protection. In the wake of the robbery, the museum admitted its lack of modern alarm systems and pledged to upgrade its technology. The 2007 Brazil robbery holds 2 enduring lessons. First, that the window of opportunity for thieves is measured in minutes. And second, security weaknesses are not exotic, just underinvestment and complacency. Such robberies follow a familiar pattern worldwide: minimal delay, targeted items, and weak security. For instance, the 1990 robbery of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in the US city of Boston remains the largest unresolved art theft of 13 works valued at more than $500 million, which remain missing to this day. Now imagine 7 minutes in the Louvre, dressed up as staff, using power tools, bypassing cameras. You've seen it on Netflix, Clever Thieves, with twist at the end. In Lupin, robbery looks like theatre. In real life, it can take just a few minutes to change the course of history. This week, priceless royal jewels vanished from the Louvre, but the story doesn't end with it. On 19th October, at the iconic Louvre in Paris, thieves used a crane or mechanical lift, power tools to punch through glass, and a Yamaha T-Max scooters for a quick escape. The operation reportedly took about 7 minutes. Authorities estimate the stolen jewelry's value at more than $100 million. Among the treasures targeted were several priceless royal jewels, including Empress Eugenie's pearl diadem with 212 pearls and nearly 2,000 diamonds, and her diamond bodice bow brooch. The robbers also took an emerald necklace and earrings, one gifted by Napoleon to his wife, Marie-Louise, 3 sapphire and diamond pieces worn by French queens Marie-Amélie and Hortense, and a diamond reliquary brooch belonging to Empress Eugenie. In interviews, the museum's director blamed gaps in CCTV coverage. The official admitted that cameras in the gallery were outdated and that the alarm system failed to respond in time.
Caméra périmétrique.
There are some perimeter cameras, but they are aging. If you want the technical details, I would prefer to hand over the Dominique Buffon. But the surveillance is highly insufficient. It doesn't cover all the Louvre's facades. Unfortunately, on the Apollo Gallery side, the only camera installed is directed westward and therefore did not cover the balcony involved in the break-in.
A French lawmaker, Laurent Lafont, said that the museum still lacks proper external surveillance cameras, despite similar conditions leading to a theft in 1976.
Responsabilité, on voit bien que la chaîne des responsabilités.
It's obvious that the chain of responsibility stretches far back in time. Take the example of external surveillance cameras. We're in 2025, and yet, as I mentioned in the hearing, a similar theft occurred in 1976 under almost identical conditions. Over 40 years, no leadership made the effort to correct this error, this absence of external video surveillance. The question remains unresolved.
Présidence.
The Louvre isn't just a home to France's royal jewels, it guards priceless treasures from across Asia, Africa, and beyond. Among them are some of India's most famous diamonds, the Regent, the Hortensia, the Sancy, all mined in the fabled Golconda region and once part of royal collections before ending up in Paris. The museum also holds pieces of Mughal art and ancient carnelian beads. The Louvre also showcases other powerful relics from around the world, such as the massive Khorsabad reliefs of ancient Iraq, the Moai statue from Easter Island, and sculptures from Solomon Islands, objects that were once part of indigenous kingdoms, ritual practices, or artisanal traditions, are now displayed thousands of miles away from their place of origin. If jewels under such tight security can simply vanish, just how safe is the Louvre? For the nations of the global south, such robberies could mean loss of cultural property. A part of the problem is that jewels often disappear completely because they can be melted or recut and vanish into legitimate markets. From New York City to Dubai, the routes for stolen gems and art remain global. This means that a theft in Paris or Sao Paulo can ripple across continents.
The worst case scenario is that they could end up in a money laundering operation. In their current state, the pieces will not go to public sale, that's certain. They are too well known. However, we can fear that they might be entirely reset, dismantled, melted down, and that's the risk, a catastrophe. Beyond the intrinsic value of the precious metals and materials, there's a tremendous historical value which we could multiply their worth by maybe 100 times. 10, 20, we really don't know. We have no real idea.
There's another thorny issue to contend with: insurance. It is an expensive proposition for priceless, historically significant items, and it is often unavailable, and museums cannot afford modern CCTV, infrared sensors, or round-the-clock guards. For museums in Lagos or New Delhi, these choices are daily trade-offs between access and protection.
You can imagine that other museums in the world, and there are tens of thousands of them, smaller than the Louvre, they are watching this news and they think, well, if the Louvre can be robbed, how can we protect ourselves, And they are afraid that local thieves will think, well, they took it off with the Louvre, let's try our local museum. So that's the biggest fear now in the museum world.
The theft at Louvre raises yet another question that the global south has been asking for decades. Who owns what? Take the case of the Kohinoor diamond. It was mined in India, but is now part of the British crown jewels. Should it stay in London as a symbol of history, or be returned to India from where it was taken centuries ago? Shivam Mishra for DD India.